I want you to picture the scene, because the context here really matters. It's Paris. It's the summer of 1830. And if you are Victor Hugo, life is, let's just say, complicated.
Complicated is a very polite way to put it. He is, I mean, arguably the most famous man in France at this moment. He's the toast of the literary scene.
Which, knowing what we know about 19th century Paris, just means distractions.
Oh, infinite distractions. And we aren't just talking about writer's block or, staring at a blank page. We are talking about a social calendar that was actively, and I mean actively, destroying his career.
So it's not just an internal battle, it's an external one.
Completely. He has dinners, he has parties, he has dignitaries from all over Europe wanting just a moment of his time. And Hugo, by his very nature, was a man of appetite. He loved the attention. He loved the world.
But there's a contract hanging over his head, like a dark cloud.
A contract he had completely and utterly ignored. 12 months prior, he shook hands with his publisher, a man named Gosselin, promising a new novel. A massive Gothic epic.
Okay, so a year's worth of runway.
Yeah.
And in those 12 months, how many pages had he actually written?
Something very close to zero. He spent the entire year entertaining guests and working on, you'll love this, other projects.
Other projects. He was doing the 19th century equivalent of, reorganizing his desk drawer instead of doing his taxes, or deciding now is the perfect time to learn how to bake sourdough right when a huge work deadline is looming.
We've all been there. It's that productive procrastination. It feels like you're working, but it's actually just sophisticated avoidance.
Exactly. But his publisher, Gosselin, he wasn't having it anymore. He explodes. He issues an ultimatum that is, frankly, terrifying. He tells Hugo, you have until February 1831 to finish the book.
Okay, wait, do the math there. It's the summer of 1830,
Yeah.
So that's what, less than 6 months to write The Hunchback of Notre-Dame?
Less than 6 months from a standing start.
That's, for a pamphlet, maybe. But for a masterpiece of French literature, that seems physically impossible. Yeah. It should have been, and Hugo knew that. He knew if he relied on his standard operating procedure, willpower, trying harder, promising himself he'd wake up early, he was going to fail.
He knew his own weaknesses.
He knew his future self was going to say yes to the dinner parties, just like his past self did. He had a year of evidence. He realized that his internal discipline was it was broken.
So he needs a nuclear option. He can't just try harder. He needs to change the entire game. And this is where the story gets wonderfully bizarre.
It really does. He essentially staged a coup against his own social life. He called his assistant into his bedroom and ordered him to open the wardrobes. He gathered every formal suit, every coat, every pair of respectable trousers, basically anything you could wear in public without getting arrested for indecency.
He didn't just, hide them under the bed or something.
Oh, no. That would be too easy to undo. He had the assistant lock them all in a large chest. And here is the absolute kicker. He gave the assistant the key and told him, do not give this back to me no matter what I say until the book is done.
So he is literally trapped in his house.
He is trapped by his own potential nudity. He left himself with nothing to wear but a large gray knitted shawl, effectively a blanket.
I love the logic here. He didn't decide to stay in. He made it physically impossible to go out.
He removed the choice. The decision was made. You can't be tempted by a dinner invitation if you literally don't have pants.
Right.
He couldn't go outdoors. He couldn't host guests. Can you imagine the embarrassment? He was physically forced by his own design to stay in his study.
And the result of this self-imposed house arrest.
He wrote furiously through the fall and winter of 1830, and on January 14th, 1831, 2 weeks early, he published The Hunchback of Notre-Dame.
All because he locked his pants in a box. It's such a funny image, but it sets the stage perfectly for what we're digging into today. We usually talk about habits in terms of making good things easy. Put your running shoes by the door, right? That's the standard advice.
Right. And that is perfectly valid advice, don't get us wrong. But this deep dive is about the flip side. It's about the inversion of the third law of behavior change. It's not just about making the good stuff easy. It's about making the bad habits impossible.
We're going to look at how to build a locked chest for your own life. We're going to talk about this concept of the commitment device, which is exactly what Hugo used. We've got some incredible stories, including how the cash register was actually invented to automate morality, which is just a wild story. And we have a cheat sheet of one-time actions that can automate a better life for you.
And we also have to talk about the dark side of this, because the same psychology that helps you write a novel can be used and is being used by technology to keep you addicted to screens.
Absolutely. But let's stick with Hugo for a second. This idea of a commitment device. It sounds like a fancy psychological term, but I want to break down what it actually means, because I think people confuse planning with commitment. They're not the
Yeah.
same thing.
That is such a crucial distinction. A plan is just a statement of intent. I plan to eat healthy this week. A commitment device is a restriction. The formal definition is a choice you make in the present that controls or restricts your actions in the future.
So it's basically admitting that future me is kind of a flake.
It's admitting that future you suffers from what behavioral economists call time inconsistency. This is the core psychological concept here. We value immediate rewards, the party, the donut, the 5 minutes on Instagram, so much higher than future rewards, like the finished book or the healthy body.
It's also called hyperbolic discounting, right?
Exactly. The value of a future reward decays in our mind the further away it is. A donut right now feels infinitely more valuable than being a pound lighter next month.
So present me is rational. Present me wants to write a book. But future me, who is tired and bored at 3 p.m., just wants a croissant and a walk.
Precisely. We are biologically hardwired for the now. So a commitment device is present you, who is rational and calm and motivated, building a cage for future you, who is going to be tired, hungry, or looking for any distraction. You are essentially outsourcing your willpower to your environment.
You see this in mythology, right? This isn't some new 21st century idea.
It's as old as storytelling itself. The ultimate example is Odysseus and the Sirens. He knows, absolutely knows, that when he hears their music, he's going to go crazy and steer the ship right into the rocks. He knows his future self cannot be trusted. So what does he do?
He has his men tie him to the mast.
He has them physically bind him. And he orders his crew to plug their ears with beeswax so they won't even hear his pleas. He hacks the system so that when the temptation hits, when the music starts, he cannot fail even though he desperately wants to.
The lack of pants was his mast.
That was his mast. The loft chest was his beeswax. It's the same principle.
It effectively locks in your future behavior. It binds you to the good habit, and more importantly, restricts you from the bad one.
And the why is so simple. It allows you to take advantage of your good intentions when you have them, like right now when you're feeling motivated after listening to this, before you fall victim to temptation later when you're tired and stressed.
I think we see this in small ways all the time, but maybe we don't realize that's what we're doing. The sources mention diet and nutrition as a huge area for this. But simply buying healthy food isn't a commitment device, is it? That's not enough.
No, that's just a good decision. A commitment device involves a constraint, a restriction. So think about packaging. If you go to the store and you buy the giant family-sized bag of chips, you are relying on your future willpower to stop eating after a handful. You are betting on yourself to stop.
Which, let's be honest, is a bad bet for most of us. Once the bag is open, the stopping cue is usually the sound of your fingers scraping the bottom of the bag.
Exactly. But if you buy the individual packages, the little 100-calorie packs, you are creating a commitment device. It's subtle, but it's there. You're creating a friction point where you have to physically stop, open a new bag, and make a conscious decision to keep eating, rather than just mindlessly reaching for more.
There's also that waiter strategy the source mentions.
Yeah.
I've actually tried this, and I have to say, it is incredibly awkward to do in person.
It's painful, isn't it? But that social friction, that awkwardness, is part of why it works so well.
Okay, walk us through it for anyone who hasn't heard of it.
So you're at a restaurant. You know the portion is going to be huge. You know if they put that giant plate of pasta in front of you, you're going to eat all of it. Our brains are conditioned for an empty plate cue, not a full stomach cue.
Right, so the strategy is to intervene before the temptation even arrives at the table.
Correct. When you are in that cold, rational state, looking at the menu, you ask the waiter, can you please split the meal in the kitchen and box up half of it to go before you bring it out?
Now, if you wait until the food is on the table and tell yourself, oh, I'll just eat half, you've already lost.
You've lost. The smell, the visual cue, the social pressure of everyone else eating it all takes over. By making the decision before the temptation arrives, you've already won the battle.
And the awkwardness of it protects you. Because once the food arrives, if you decided you wanted to eat the other half, what would you have to do?
You'd have to sheepishly open the to-go box, get out a fork, and start eating what are essentially cold leftovers right there at the table. You'd look like a lunatic.
Exactly. You've made the bad habit, which is overeating, socially embarrassing, and physically annoying. You've increased the friction.
And this concept applies to much higher stakes than just calories, though. The sources talk about gambling, for instance. This is where the concept moves from being a productivity hack to a life-saving intervention.
This one is fascinating. It's the voluntary exclusion list.
Right. Gamblers who know they have a problem, who know they suffer from extreme time inconsistency, can actually voluntarily ask to be added to banned lists at casinos and on online poker sites.
So they're literally asking the casino to call security or even the police on them if they show up.
Yes. They're making a choice in a cool, collected moment to prevent themselves from making a catastrophic choice in a heated, tempting moment. And it works because it removes the option entirely. It's not about resisting the urge to drive to the casino. It's about knowing that even if you do drive there, you won't get in. You simply cannot play.
The sources also mentioned athletes cutting weight. This one is brutal but really clever.
Yeah, fighters or wrestlers who need to make weight for a competition often struggle with hunger cravings in that final week. So some of them, for the week before the weigh-in, will leave their wallets at home when they go to work or to the training gym.
No wallet at all, so they're driving without a license.
A little risky on the traffic front, maybe, but very effective for the diet. No money, no credit cards, no debit cards. Why? Because if they're out and about and they get hit with a powerful craving for fast food, they literally cannot buy it. They have removed the means to succumb to the temptation.
It eliminates the struggle. You don't have to stand in front of the Golden Arches having that internal debate, should I shouldn't. You just keep driving because you have no way to pay.
Exactly. And that's the real beauty of it. It saves your precious mental energy. You aren't fighting a willpower battle every 10 minutes of the day. The decision has already been made for you, by you.
You know, one of my favorite examples from the research for this deep dive comes from Nir Eyal. He's a habit expert himself. He wrote books on this stuff, and yet even he needs these devices, which I find very reassuring.
That's a great point. Knowing the science doesn't make you immune to the biology. Nir Eyal realized he and his family were staying up way too late, just surfing the internet. We've all been there. You tell yourself 5 more minutes, and suddenly it's 2 a.m.
So what did he do? Did he install some fancy app blocker?
He went hardware, he went analog, he bought a simple outlet timer. It's an adapter you plug into the wall, the kind people use for Christmas lights, and then you plug your appliance into it. He plugged his internet router into this timer.
Oh, I think I see where this is going.
At 10 p.m. every single night, the timer cuts the power to the router. Hard cut. The internet just dies.
That is aggressive and probably really annoying if you're in the middle of a movie or sending an important email.
It is, but think about the result. When the internet goes off, everyone in the house knows. It's time to wind down, it's time to read, it's time to sleep. He doesn't have to use willpower to log off. The option is just gone.
Because to turn it back on, he'd have to, crawl under the desk, fiddle with the timer, wait for the router to reboot.
Too much friction, way too much work. It creates just enough space, just enough of a pause for his rational brain to say, you know what, just go to bed. It's the modern version of Victor Hugo's chess. Instead of locking up his pants, he's locking up the Wi-Fi.
That's a perfect analogy. And the core principle here, if we want to synthesize this for the listener, is all about friction design. The key to a good commitment device is changing the task so that it requires more work to get out of the good habit than to stick with it.
Right. Think about the yoga example from the source. If you want to get in shape, don't just say, I'll go to yoga tomorrow. That's a plan, not a commitment. Instead, schedule a session and pay for it ahead of time.
Because now the friction is reversed. If you go, it's easy. You're already paid up. You just show up. But if you want to bail, you have to call, maybe explain yourself, and you definitely lose the money.
Exactly. Bailing becomes painful and costly. Or the other example, if you want to start a business, email an entrepreneur you really respect and set up a consulting call for 2 weeks from now.
Ooh, that's a good one. Because then the only way to back out of making progress is the deep embarrassment of canceling on someone you admire.
You're increasing the cost of the bad behavior, which is quitting, to be higher than the cost of the good behavior, which is doing the work. You're rigging the game in your favor.
So we've established that we can lock our pants up, cut our internet, or freeze our credit cards. These are powerful personal choices. But there's a story in the research that takes this concept of making the right thing inevitable to a whole new level. It moves from personal psychology to industrial automation.
Yes, the story of John Henry Patterson. This is a leap back in time, again, to 1844.
Let's set the scene. Dayton, Ohio. This is rough, industrial America.
Patterson was a classic self-made figure of that era. He grew up doing farm chores, worked at his father's sawmill. He managed to go to college at Dartmouth, which was pretty rare for the time. And then he came back to Ohio to open a supply store for coal miners.
A supply store for coal miners. That just sounds like a tough business. Dusty, gritty, very cash heavy, I imagine.
It was, but it was also a great opportunity. He had very little competition. He had a steady stream of customers. Miners need supplies constantly, but there was a fundamental problem.
The store wasn't making any money.
It was losing money, hand over fist. And Patterson couldn't figure it out. He had customers, he had sales, but the profit just wasn't there at the end of the month. And then he discovered the truth. His employees were stealing from him.
Now, we have to contextualize this for the mid-1800s. We're so used to modern retail. If I go to a store today, there are cameras, there are digital logs, barcodes, inventory tracking. Everything is monitored.
Right. In the mid-1800s, none of that existed. Receipts were kept in an open drawer, a literal wooden drawer. You could easily alter them, discard them, or just pocket the cash and never write a receipt at all.
It was basically the honor system, wasn't it?
It was, and this brings up a really interesting philosophical point about habits and systems. Unless Patterson was willing to hover over his employees every single minute of the day, theft was almost impossible to prevent. The environment itself was designed to make theft easy.
So Patterson is stressed, he's losing his business,
Yeah.
and then he sees an advertisement.
He sees an ad in a local paper for a brand new invention by a man named James Ritty, who is actually a fellow Dayton resident. It was called Ritty's Incorruptible Cashier.
The Incorruptible Cashier. That is a fantastic name. It sounds like a superhero from a comic book.
It really is. It was the first mechanical cash register. And the mechanism was what mattered. It wasn't just a box to hold money. It automatically locked the cash and the receipts inside the machine after every single transaction. But it did something else that was genius. It rang a bell.
The bell is crucial here. Why was the bell so important?
The bell created a public audit. When a cashier punched in $5, ding, everyone in the store heard it. The owner heard it. The other customers heard it. If you took $5 from a customer but didn't hear a ding, everyone in that small store knew something was wrong.
So you couldn't just reach in and grab a handful of coins quietly while no one was looking?
Exactly. It added this layer of security and social tracking that just didn't exist before. So Patterson, he was desperate. He bought 2 of them for $50 each.
Which was a significant investment back then. $50 was a lot of money. That's like buying a couple of high-end computers for a small shop today.
A huge investment. But look at the outcome. Employee theft at his store vanished. Overnight.
Overnight, just like that.
In the next 6 months, Patterson's little supply store went from losing money to making $5,000 in profit.
And the source says that's equivalent to over $100,000 today. That is a massive, massive swing.
It's life-changing. And Patterson was so impressed, not just by the money, but by the principle of the machine, the system it created, that he decided to change businesses entirely. He bought the rights to Ritty's invention and founded the National Cash Register Company.
NCR, which became this massive global corporation.
Massive. But let's really analyze the psychological insight here. Patterson didn't try to give his employees a moral lecture about honesty. He didn't try to train them to be better people. He didn't try to inspire them with a vision.
He just changed the environment. He changed the system.
He made the crime impractical. He increased the friction of stealing until the option effectively disappeared. The cash register automated ethical behavior.
That's such a powerful phrase. Automated ethical behavior.
It is. It proves that the best way to break a bad habit, whether it's stealing from the till or eating cookies late at night, is to make it impossible, or at least highly impractical to do. It's about system design, not just character reform.
It takes a burden off the individual's moment-to-moment willpower. The employees didn't have to wake up every day and fight the urge to steal. The machine made the decision for them.
Precisely. And this leads us perfectly into the next segment of our deep dive. We can't all install 19th century cash registers in our homes, but there are modern equivalents. There are actions we can take once, just one time, that pay dividends forever.
This is the concept of one-time actions. I love this, because I admit I can be a bit lazy. I love the idea of doing something once and then reaping the rewards for years and years without having to think about it again.
It's the lazy path to success. In the absolute best possible way. It's employing the third law, make it easy, by doing all the heavy lifting up front. It's about optimizing the default setting of your life.
So the source material includes a survey of readers on their favorite one-time actions that lock in good habits. Let's run through some of these, but I want to dig into why they work, because some of them seem kind of trivial on the surface.
Let's do it. It's a great list.
First up, sleep optimization. The list says, buy a high-quality mattress. Now, obviously, comfort is good, but is this really a habit tool?
It is the quintessential one-time action. Think about the friction of sleep. If your bed is old and uncomfortable, you toss, you turn, you wake up tired. If you wake up tired, your willpower for the entire next day is depleted. You make bad food choices, you snap at your family, you skip the gym.
So the mattress isn't just about sleep. It's the foundation of the next day's decisions.
It is literally the foundation. You buy it once, it lasts for maybe 8 to 10 years, but every single night, without any extra effort from you, you are getting better recovery. The ROI, the return on investment, is just astronomical when you think about it that way.
Another one in the sleep category. Install blackout curtains.
Same principle. Light pollution is a powerful biological signal that disrupts our natural sleep cycles. You spend 1 hour on a Saturday afternoon installing them, but then, every single morning for the next decade, you aren't woken up by the sun at 5 a.m. unless you want to be. You're automating a better sleep environment.
Okay, here's the controversial one. The one people fight. Remove the television from the bedroom.
This is a commitment device and a one-time action rolled into one. If the TV is in the room, the default behavior when you're tired is to just turn it on. It's the path of least resistance.
And once it's on, with autoplay and all that, you're binge watching until midnight.
Right. If you remove it, do that one heavy lift of carrying it to the living room or the basement, the default in the bedroom becomes reading, talking to your partner, or just going to sleep. You've made the bad habit of binge watching in bed require massive friction, getting up and going to another room.
Okay, let's talk nutrition and health. Buy a water filter. Seems so simple.
Simple logic. If water tastes better and it's chilled in the fridge, you drink more of it. If it tastes like tap water and it's lukewarm from the faucet, you're more likely to grab a soda or a juice. You don't have to try to hydrate. The environment makes the healthy choice, the easy, tasty choice.
Use smaller plates. Now, we touched on this briefly before, but this relies on a specific visual trick, right? It's not just about portion control.
Yes, it's called the Delboeuf illusion.
The Delboeuf illusion. Can you explain that?
It's an optical illusion about relative size. If you put a normal scoop of food on a massive 12-inch dinner plate, the white space around it makes the food look tiny and inadequate. Your brain says, wait, I'm being deprived. And you go back for seconds before you've even taken a bite.
But if you put that exact same scoop of food on an 8-inch plate,
It fills the plate. It looks bountiful, satisfying. Your brain registers it as a full meal. You feel satisfied with significantly less food, often 20 to 30% less.
so you are basically hacking your own satisfaction levels through your eyeballs.
You're satisfying your eyes so your stomach doesn't have to deal with the excess. And the beauty is you only have to buy the plates once. You do it on a Saturday, and you automatically cut calories every single night for the next 10 years. It's brilliant.
Get vaccinated. That's on the list. Bit more serious.
A classic one-time medical action. One appointment, maybe a follow-up, and it protects you for months or years. It automates immunity, removing future worry and illness.
Buy good shoes. My back felt that one.
This prevents future pain. If your back hurts or your feet hurt, you can't exercise, you can't walk, you're miserable. If you buy good supportive shoes, you're removing a future barrier to movement. It's an investment in your future activity levels.
Okay, productivity and digital hygiene. This is my favorite category. Unsubscribe from emails.
Oh, this is huge. We all hate our inboxes, but what do? We just delete every day.
Which takes what, 2 seconds an email? It feels insignificant.
It's 2 seconds per email every single day, forever. If you spend one focused hour unsubscribing from every marketing list you're on, you are saving yourself the split-second distraction and decision fatigue of deleting those emails every single day for the rest of your life. That adds up to hours and hours of saved time and preserved mental clarity.
Turn off notifications and mute group chats.
This is non-negotiable in the modern world. If your phone buzzes, you look. It's a Pavlovian reflex, a dopamine response. If you turn off the buzz, a one-time setting change, you reclaim your attention. You decide when to look at your phone, not the other way around.
And the nuclear option. Delete games and social media apps from the phone.
It's the ultimate friction increaser. If Instagram isn't on your phone, you can't just mindlessly scroll while you're waiting for the elevator. You have to wait until you're at a computer, log in. It turns a mindless reflexive habit into a deliberate conscious choice.
Let's hit finance. Enroll in an automatic savings plan.
This is the wealth-building cheat code. It's called paying yourself first. If the money leaves your paycheck before it even hits your checking account, you never see it. You learn to live on what's left. You are automating the habit of saving without ever needing the willpower to transfer the money yourself.
Cut cable service.
Saves a ton of money and drastically reduces mindless channel surfing. It's a 2-for-1. You save money and you gain back hours of your life.
And finally, the happiness category. Get a dog.
Now, okay, getting a dog is a lot of work, not just a one-time action. You have to feed it, there are vet bills, training.
True, true. But in terms of the habits it creates for you.
Ah, okay. From that perspective, think about what it forces you to do. You have to walk the dog multiple times a day. You have to go outside even when it's raining. It forces a walking habit and a fresh air habit that you might otherwise skip. It's an external accountability partner that licks your face.
And the last one, move to a friendly social neighborhood.
That's a huge one-time action, obviously. A massive decision. But we're so deeply influenced by our environment. If you live in a place where people are walking and talking and sitting on their porches, you will naturally walk and talk more. If you live where everyone drives into their garage and stays inside, you'll do that too. We mimic the herd.
The reflection here is really powerful. If an average person did just half of these things, bought the good mattress, deleted the distracting apps, set up the auto savings, their life would be significantly better a year later, and they wouldn't have had to think about any of it on a daily basis.
Exactly. It's about building a system for success. We often think of habits as these daily struggles of will. I must force myself to do this. But these examples show that the smartest way to change is to design a life where the good choice is the default choice, the easy choice.
Technology plays a huge role in this, especially for those infrequent but important tasks. The source mentions things like rebalancing your investment portfolio.
Right. Something you only need to do once a year is never going to become a habit in the traditional sense. You'll forget. So you use technology to remember for you. You set up the auto rebalance feature with your brokerage.
Or automatic prescription refills.
Exactly. Don't rely on your memory to call the pharmacy every month. Set it to auto refill. Use the machine to handle the drudgery so your brain can focus on more important things.
But, and here comes the big twist, technology isn't always our friend in this story, is it?
No, not at all. Technology is agnostic. It's a tool. It can automate the good, but it can also automate the bad with terrifying efficiency.
This brings us to segment 4, the double-edged sword of automation. Because just as we can use automation to make good habits inevitable, the world around us is using that same automation to make bad habits inevitable.
Think about binge watching. We talked about removing the TV from the bedroom, but look at how the platforms themselves are designed. Netflix and YouTube have autoplay.
That little countdown circle in the corner. Next episode starting in 5.
Yeah,
It gives you anxiety just watching it.
it does. In the old days, you had to get up, change the DVD, or at the very least, you had to consciously click next. That was a tiny bit of friction. It gave you a moment, a pause, to ask yourself, do I really want to watch another one?
Now, the friction is completely reversed.
Precisely. You have to put in effort to stop watching. You have to find the remote and press a button to cancel the countdown. If you do nothing, the bad habit continues by default.
It's the inversion of the cash register. The cash register made theft hard. Autoplay makes stopping hard.
Perfectly put, and it's everywhere. Food delivery apps. At the slightest hint of hunger, you can press a button and food just appears at your door. You don't have to plan, you don't have to cook, you don't have to drive. The effort is near zero.
Social media, too. The infinite scroll. There's no bottom to the page. You never get a natural cue to stop and do something else.
The source material has this great and kind of chilling quote from the mathematician and philosopher Alfred North Whitehead. He said, "Civilization advances by extending the number of operations we can perform without thinking about them."
Which sounds good on the surface.
It is good when those operations are washing our clothes or heating our homes or paying our bills automatically. But when the operations we perform without thinking are scrolling TikTok for 3 hours or eating junk food every time we feel a pang of boredom, civilization isn't advancing. We are regressing into impulse machines.
The danger zone is when the effort required to act on our desires becomes effectively zero. We just slip into whatever impulse arises in the moment.
Yes, and we jump from one easy, low-value task to another, checking email, checking Instagram, watching a YouTube short, and we never make time for the difficult, deep, rewarding work that actually moves our lives forward.
The author of the source material realized this was happening to him personally. He found himself gravitating to social media during any micro moment of downtime. A fraction of a second of boredom, and bam, the phone was in his hand.
It's the just one more minute trap. And he notes that the average person now spends over 2 hours a day on social media. That's more than 600 hours a year.
That is a staggering, depressing number.
It is. Imagine what you could learn in 600 hours. You could learn a new language. You could learn a musical instrument. You could write a book.
So the author did what he calls a hard reset experiment. And this is pretty extreme, but I have to respect it.
He realized he couldn't rely on willpower. It wasn't working. So he involved his assistant. Every Monday morning, his assistant would change the passwords on all his social media accounts: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything. And she would log him out on all his devices.
So he was literally locked out. He couldn't log in even if he wanted to. He didn't have the key.
He was completely locked out. Monday through Friday, he worked all week without that constant nagging distraction. Then, on Friday afternoon, she would send him the new passwords.
And he could binge all weekend if he wanted.
He had the entire weekend to enjoy it, guilt-free. But look at what happened. He found he adapted incredibly quickly. Within the first week, he realized he didn't actually need to check it constantly.
It was just a default habit, a nervous twitch more than a real need.
It was mental candy. And once he removed the candy from his immediate environment, he found it was much easier to eat the healthy stuff, meaning to do his actual meaningful work. His craving for distraction diminished when the distraction wasn't an option.
And for those of us who don't have assistants to change our passwords for us.
The advice is to team up with a friend or a family member. I reset your password, you reset mine. We swap on Friday. It's a modern-day pact, a commitment device shared between two people to hold each other accountable.
I love that. It brings us back to the community aspect of habits. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've gone from Victor Hugo's nakedness to incorruptible cash registers to deleting apps from our phones. I want to zoom out for a minute. The source material provides a master cheat sheet that connects all these dots into the broader 4 laws of behavior change.
Right. We focused heavily today on the third law, make it easy, or its inversion, make it difficult. But to really understand where this fits, we should look at the whole framework that's provided. It puts everything into a really clear perspective.
So let's run through the 4 laws and how we can invert them to break bad habits. Law 1 is make it obvious.
Right. To build a good habit, you make the cues obvious. You leave your running shoes by the door. You use implementation intentions, planning out exactly when and where you'll act.
Like, I will exercise at 7 a.m. in my living room. You get very specific.
Exactly. And you use habit stacking. After I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. You're anchoring the new habit to an old, established one.
And the inversion of that. How do we break a bad habit using Law 1?
You make it invisible. You reduce your exposure to the cues. If you want to stop playing video games, unplug the console and put it in a closet in another room. If you want to stop eating cookies, don't buy them. Get them out of the house. Remove the cue. If you don't see it, you're far less likely to want it.
Okay, Law 2 is make it attractive.
To build a habit, you want it to be appealing. You can use temptation bundling. This is where you pair something you want to do with something you need to do, like only allowing yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while you're at the gym.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
That actually makes the gym something you look forward to.
Or you join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. If you want to get fit, you hang out with fit people. Their standards become your standards.
And the inversion of that, make it unattractive.
This is all about reframing your mindset. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm depriving myself of a cigarette, you actively think, I am choosing to be a healthy person who doesn't smell like smoke and who will be around for my family. You highlight all the benefits of avoidance. You make the bad habit seem gross or unnecessary in your own mind.
Now, Law 3. This is our start today. Make it easy.
To build a good habit, reduce friction, prime your environment, chop your veggies on Sunday so they're ready for the week, use the 2-minute rule. Downscale the habit until it takes less than 2 minutes to do. Read 1 page instead of read a book. Make it so easy you can't say no.
And the inversion, which we've been deep diving on for this whole show, make it difficult.
Increase friction. Use a commitment device. Lock the clothes in the chest. Buy the outlet timer that kills the Wi-Fi. Leave your wallet at home. Make the bad habit so much work that you just don't even bother.
And finally, Law 4. Make it satisfying.
This is all about reward. To build a habit, you need to feel some immediate success. A pat on the back, a little treat, putting a big X on a calendar. Our brains need that little dopamine hit to want to repeat the behavior.
And the inversion of that, make it unsatisfying.
This is where accountability partners come in. If you fail to stick to your habit, it needs to be immediately painful in some way. Maybe you have to pay your friend $50 if you skip your workout. That immediate cost, the financial pain, makes the bad habit very unsatisfying.
It's a beautiful, complete system when you see it all laid out. And what I love about the make it difficult inversion, the Victor Hugo strategy, is that it just stops the negotiation.
That is the key insight. We waste so much mental energy negotiating with ourselves. Should I? Shouldn't I? Oh, just this once. It's exhausting. When you use a commitment device, the negotiation is over before it begins. The decision is made. You are free to move on with your life.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just recap the big takeaways.
First, we learn from Victor Hugo that sometimes you have to go to extremes. If you have an impossible goal, you might need a locked chest solution. You need to remove the option to fail, especially if you know you suffer from time inconsistency.
Second, we learned from John Henry Patterson and his cash register that you can automate integrity. You don't always have to change your soul or your personality. You just have to change your environment to make the bad behavior impractical.
Third, the incredible power of one-time choices. Buying the good mattress, deleting the app, setting up the autopay, these are single actions that have a ripple effect for years to come.
And finally, the warning. Technology is actively trying to make consumption effortless. We have to be the ones to fight back by intentionally building our own barriers.
We have to make sure that the operations we perform without thinking are the ones that serve our long-term goals, not the ones that drain our time and attention.
So here is our provocative final thought for you, the listener. We live in a world that is designed to make every whim instantly satisfiable. You want it, you get it, right now.
That is the default state of modern life. Frictionless consumption.
So the challenge for you is this. What is your locked chest? Look at the one bad habit that is plaguing you right now. The one thing that keeps dragging you down.
Is it the phone in bed at night? Is it the mindless online spending? Is it the junk food after a stressful day?
What is the one barrier, the one incorruptible cashier that you can build today, right now, that makes that habit impossible tomorrow? Not just harder, impossible.
Don't rely on willpower for tomorrow. Be the architect of your future self today.
Pick one single item from that list of one-time actions. Just one. Go unsubscribe from those emails, or go online and buy the water filter, or text a friend right now and ask them to change your social media password. Do it today.
Your future self will thank you for it.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.